Okay guys, Sunday the 5th of November and we're on the FTSE 100. So let's have a quick recap of this market from last week in relation to our Sunday analysis, and then we'll have a look at the market for the trading week ahead. Okay, so last week we had made a bearish movement down on this market, breaking below. Let's just mark these both in. We had resistance up above. We had a support level down below. We had one sitting right here, and then we had another one sitting down here. So what we're looking at coming into last week was basically, if we were pressing higher, still more than happy to sell into the market, basically coming back up to retest at what would then likely be resistance. Now, what we had was Monday, we had rejection. Tuesday, you can see we pressed up and rejected. Wednesday, further rejection. Thursday was rate decision day. In the UK, the rates changed, and you can see the reaction we had. And then on Friday, we had a little bit of a doji candle. So last week for me, relatively quiet week in all honesty. So on Monday, I had a good early morning setup. Tuesday, I didn't have any trades at all. Wednesday, I took one trade, which ended up as a break even. Then on Thursday, I took a losing trade, and then toward the second half of the day, I took another trade, which was a winning trade. And on Friday, it was non-farm payroll. I just don't trade non-farm payroll days because you can very often see, just very, very sideways ranging price action. And I tend to find you can get more false signals on non-farm payroll. So I just take it as an extra day off during the month. This trading life, it's really difficult. So next week, what are we looking at? Well, the market made this very strong move up on Thursday, as I mentioned, on the back of the rate decision. However, we are still to test up toward these all-time highs, 1, 2, and 3 right here. So what we can see is market pressed up, tested at the close and the open from the 1st and the 2nd of June, hasn't spiked up into the all-time highs at around about 587 and 600. This whole section up above is resistance for next week. It's the all-time highs. It's always worthwhile watching for potential bearish positions. If we break up above, the pullbacks, certainly for potential support, and then moves higher, especially, if we're starting to come down into just a little bit lower, where we would then begin to test the bodies of these candles. So this is really the key level up at the all-time highs. Down below, we still have that level where the market was failing multiple times. Now, we did spike up a little bit higher on the 12th of October. What I'm really looking at this one as is almost a false break, because if we look around about that candle, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 tests, almost all at this 557 to 558 level. And then this one just spiked higher on Thursday the 12th. Really, I'm looking at it more as a false break up. So this whole area here, potential support if we are up above, looking for those moves up toward the all-time highs, and resistance if we are sitting down below. Down below there, it's relatively similar zones to what we're using last week. We're just looking at it a little bit differently now that we've had this very strong move up on the Thursday. And once we start to get down, let's have a look. Now we've had the spike up here, coming down. Okay, so really 7.5, around about 7.535 to 7.515. Sitting right here. So basically what we're looking at is the multiple tests all the way along, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then on Tuesday the 24th, we tried to break up and failed. We did close back within that zone. Then we've had a test on 27th of October and also the 31st and the 1st of November. So again, good potential area of support to look for those bullish movements. If we start to break down below, the next bearish level is relatively close. So I'll be a little bit careful of selling from this level, because our next bearish level is just coming down to here, 7.506 to 7.495. And then down below there, in all honesty, we've got another very close level sitting at 485 down into around about 7465. So I want to be a little bit careful. Not to say you shouldn't be selling from these levels. You just want to be a little bit careful that your support and resistance is relatively close. I'm still more than happy to look for the weakness in this market, especially if we start to fail at the all-time highs and start to come back through this level at 560. I'd be happy to look for that move back down into the 530 area. And if we start to break down below here, that's when we start to get a little bit congested with the support and resistance levels. We've got one sitting right here, and we've got another one sitting right here. You know, these are the main levels for me moving into next week. What I'm also looking at is, you know, if we start to break up above this level, we're going to move into all-time highs. When we're in all-time highs, we don't have any price action, obviously, that we can look to the left to give us clues as to where the bulls are stepping in and where the bears are stepping in. So first of all, you want to be a little bit more careful. You can start to use things like round numbers. So you can see the all-time high previously was 7,600. 7,650, also worth watching. 7,700 would be the key round number. 7,750, 7,800. You start watching at those levels. What we can also do is we can look at this previous swing up that we've had. Let's just have a look here. So around about there. You could potentially move this up just a little bit. So we're sitting around about here. So you can see the market is basically rode up on this slanting support line. We've then made the pullback, came down and tested at these levels. Oops. Let's put this back in. How about here? Copy. We can then take this previous test right here. So we're looking at the previous test here. We're looking to say, okay, it's had a test here. It's had a test right here. So potentially, if we start to see the market breaking up, this would become a good area to look for resistance. This would become a good area to look for support as the market moves up. Obviously, you're adjusting your resistance, adjusting your support. And what you're doing is you're looking for evidence early on to see if the market is reacting with these levels. If it's not reacting with the levels, you just discard it. But when you start to get in all-time highs, that's a couple of the things that you can do to identify your support and resistance levels. Okay, so that's pretty much everything for this week, guys. Still really interested in all the levels around about this previous swing point. For me, this market has not broken up above this swing as yet. It's basically pressed higher, it's tested, and then we've had this doji candle. I'd need to see the market actually breaking up above this level to be happy that the bullish continuation is coming. And really, if we're doing that, you know, it's breaking up above the all-time highs anyway. Great area for support. Great area for support. And then even as we start to come back down, we've had such good price action here. Both of these levels, I'm more than happy to look for support and continuation. Also, if we see that move up and then the market pulling back. Okay, guys, so as always, I hope that was helpful. I hope you all have a good trading week next week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.